David does not let the tenderness of verse 6 linger without grounding it in history. He moves to the event that proved all of God's promises, the Exodus. O God, when thou wentest forth before thy people, when thou didst march through the wilderness. Selah. Psalm 68, verse 7. The verse is a declaration, not a question. David does not ask whether God went before Israel. He states it as a fact. God led his people through terrain that should have killed them, through a wilderness that offered no food, no water, and no shelter from enemies on every side. The word march carries military weight. God marched at the head of a procession, a commander leading his army through hostile territory. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night were not decorative. They were God's visible presence, moving ahead of his people, marking the route, setting the pace, and declaring that no enemy could reach Israel without first passing through him. The Selah at the end of the verse calls the congregation to pause and absorb this. God went before his people. The earth shook. The heavens also dropped at the presence of God. Even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of God, the God of Israel. Psalm 68, verse 8. Creation responded to God's arrival at Sinai with physical convulsions. The earth shook. The heavens dropped rain. Sinai itself trembled. These are not poetic exaggerations. Exodus records the mountains smoking and quaking when God descended upon it. David identifies the God who shook Sinai as the God of Israel. The same God who made the earth tremble is the covenant God who called Abraham, redeemed Israel from Egypt, and led his people through the wilderness. His power and his covenant belong to each other. He is the God of Israel, bound to his people by promise, shaking the mountain on their behalf. Thou, O God, didst send a plentiful rain, whereby thou didst confirm thine inheritance when it was weary. Psalm 68, verse 9. God did not lead Israel through the wilderness and then abandon them at the edge of exhaustion. He sent rain. The word translated plentiful carries the idea of a generous, voluntary outpouring, a gift beyond what was necessary. The word inheritance is significant. God calls Israel his inheritance, the people he claimed for himself. When his people grew weary from the wilderness journey, God did not demand more from them. He sent rain. He confirmed his ownership of them, not through demands, but through provision. The God who shook Sinai also sent gentle rain on tired people. Both actions belong to the same deity. Thy congregation hath dwelt therein. Thou, O God, hast prepared of thy goodness for the poor. Psalm 68, verse 10. God's assembled people dwelt in the land he prepared for them. God cleared the land, drove out the nations before them, and established his people in a place they did not build, and wells they did not dig. Those who came out of Egypt as slaves with nothing entered Canaan not because of their strength, but because God prepared the land out of his own goodness and gave it to people who had no claim on it except his promise.